Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be walking you through a morning in our homeschool. So if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. All right, so this video is an open collaboration video with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way. So there'll be a playlist link down below with other homeschool moms showing you how their homeschool morning goes. And it's a great opportunity to get new ideas. So make sure to check that link out. And today I'm going to walk you through our homeschool morning and what it looks like. And mostly in our school, we are done with school in the morning time. That's how I prefer it. I like to just get everything done. And I have kids ranging from like a 7-week-old to an 11-and-a-half-year-old. And so my older kids take a little bit longer to do their schoolwork. Occasionally it goes after lunch, but most of the time right now, we are usually done by lunchtime. So that's kind of what I'm gonna show you. And that's basically our book work part of the day. And then, my kids will have their own free time to do things in the afternoon. And also, I just wanted to remind you, this video is not gonna show you everything about our lives. There are a lot of crazy moments every single day. Some days are way harder than others. Some kids are way crazier than others. And it's just hard. It's just hard to homeschool. And some days are just go really well, and I'm grateful for those days, but a lot of days are hard, and I'm not gonna show the tantrums and the craziness and all that kind of stuff to be respectful to my kids. But also right now, I have a toddler he's like almost 2, and he is insane. So that also provides a lot of chaos in our morning and us trying to figure everything out. So just keep that in mind. You're seeing an edited, much cleaner version of what our homeschool morning looks like, but there's also a lot of chaos in it as well. So our homeschool morning begins the night before, and I didn't always used to set out schoolwork the night before. I've done it sporadically through the years, and this is our 7th year of homeschooling. And Ashley from Grace and Grit swears by it, that it's a game changer. And so this year, so just the last few weeks, I've tried really hard to be better about setting out schoolwork the night before. And it has made a really big difference because I have a 7-week-old and a crazy toddler. And sometimes right now our mornings are a little bit different depending on how the night goes with the newborn. And knowing all of our schoolwork is set out and my kids know what to do for our group work specifically makes it so much easier. If I'm busy with the baby, I can say, go grab your group work subjects, and they just know what to grab. And then also if I need to prep anything the night before, usually I've kind of made sure we have all the supplies a few weeks in advance if I'm on the ball, which isn't always the case. But if I'm on the ball, I'll make sure we have the supplies, and so I can set them out the night before. And I set them out in our homeschool room. We haven't generally been doing school back there because my toddler would make a complete and utter mess of the whole room. There's way too many things for him to get into, and so his toys and safer spaces are around our kitchen table. And then he can be in his high chair as well. And so that's usually where we sit. But I'll set out all the supplies, including a pile of books for me that I need all the teacher's manuals. I'll set that all out the night before. And then if we're really crazy in the morning or I'm feeding the baby, I can just tell them to go grab their stacks to work on and grab the one for me so I can run through all the work with them. And it has just made things go so much easier. The next thing that makes our homeschool morning run much smoother is when mom has her time in the morning. Again, this looks differently right now just because I am not up as early as I am when I don't have a newborn. Usually I like to try to be up at 6 because then I can get my scripture study in before my kids are all awake, and especially before my toddler is awake. But I'm usually not out of bed right now until 7 or a little bit after 7. And so usually I just transition into working out. And that's important for me. It's important for my sanity, my scriptures, and my working out. And the scriptures are still happening. They just are usually later on in the day when we have a few quiet moments. And so I will go work out for like 40 minutes. So you'll see me here working out in the garage. And that's just important time for me. I don't like to be bothered. It's just a moment for me to know I did something for myself for the day and got some movement in, and then I can start the day. And then I'll usually make the bed when I go up to get ready. And on this particular day, I did do my makeup. I don't always do my makeup. So sometimes I'll always just get dressed and do my hair really quick, but I only will do my makeup if we're like going somewhere, if I need to film something, or maybe I just need a little like extra pick me up for the day. I'll feel a little bit less frumpy or something. So this particular day I had a video to film in the afternoon, and so I did do my makeup that morning, and just super quickly because I have very limited time in between everything. And lately our group work has been starting between 9:30 and 10. When I get up earlier, we usually start school by 9:30 at the latest. But this particular day, it was closer to 10 by the time I worked out and got ready and all that kind of stuff and ate breakfast. We started at 10. And then we will do group work. So on these days where we are running a little bit later in the morning, some of my kids like to start their independent work earlier, and that's totally fine because then they'll get it done sooner. And so I have a few kids that will start on their math. If they get done with their math, they'll start working on their language arts. And my husband will do some reading with my 6-year-old. And so we kind of will work through a few of those things while I finish getting ready and prepared to homeschool with everybody. So then we'll sit down and do our group work. And we alternate between science curriculum and we're not doing history this year, not at least a curriculum. We're doing mini units, but we're doing US geography. And so those are our two like big subjects, and then we're sprinkling in history here and there. And so we'll do science Mondays and Wednesdays, and we do history on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so this particular day we are doing science. And so I had set all that stuff out the night before. So we usually will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. My kids will write in their journals. It's just a very simple journal that asks them questions. And so it's nothing complex, but just to kind of get them in a habit of writing in a journal. And you will see, like, I have videos about how journaling is very important to me. If I remember, I'll link them down below and you can check them out. But that's what we'll do there. And then we've been doing just slight meditation. I have Breathe Like a Bear, and it just has simple things every day with breathing or just mindfulness type things. And then we will usually go into our science or geography curriculum and spend some time on that. And sometimes we'll do our scriptures first. This day we did them later. But we did our science curriculum. We're talking about volcanoes. And we didn't have any like experiments to do this day, but there are so many great interactive experiments in the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. And I love the workbooks as well. And they just have so many great pictures. It's just very well done. I really, really appreciate it. So that's what we were doing that day. Then we did some scriptures, and my kids were in their New Testaments trying to find the scripture to fill in the blanks. For one of, I think we were in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians that day, going over some of Paul's epistles. And so they were filling in the scripture. And that usually concludes our group work for the day. There are a few days I've tried to start to incorporate a little bit of like PE, or, we'll do yoga or just a little something to get us moving. But usually that's Tuesdays and Thursdays. And this day was a Monday. So that's kind of what we do for our group work to get all of that done. And then I will do a read aloud with them. And so on our US geography days, there's read alouds that come with that curriculum. Well, there's not read alouds coming with our science curriculum. And so I just picked one. And so we're reading The Giver. Currently, we read Holes over the summer. My kids really love that. So we've been reading The Giver. We just barely started it. It's a little bit more like intense book, I guess. Has a lot of ideas that are a little bit different from what we normally read. And so this day I sat on the couch, and I usually by this time the baby's ready to eat. So I will sit on the couch and read and nurse her just because it's more comfortable for me. And my kids can either color some pictures they have. Sometimes it's with their geography curriculum, they're coloring pictures. But they can also work on their handwriting, and they can do that while I'm reading, or they can just sit there and listen if they want to. And I'll read 1 or 2 chapters depending on how much time we have that day and what else we need to get done. And so that's kind of what we are doing here. And then another part of our morning is finishing or starting our independent work. So some of my kids have already started their independent work, their math and language arts. Mostly they do a little bit of grammar and practice a little bit of their foreign languages, but mainly they're doing math and language arts. And so some of them have already finished that, some are still working on it. So I'm helping my 8-year-old with the language arts that he needed a parent's help with, and so we're working through that. And then my 6-year-old still needed to go through her math, so I'm helping her go through all of that as well. And my toddler is kind of all over the place. There's parts where you've seen him in his high chair. When we're doing group work, he's very loud. He has a very strong voice even when he's just talking to himself, so it's hard to like talk over him sometimes, but he'll sit in his high chair and have a snack, and then he'll play there a little bit. Sometimes he likes to play with magnets, sometimes he plays with other toys, and if someone else is done with their schoolwork completely, they'll kind of shadow him. This particular day, I think later on they went outside, like one of my children took him outside, and so we try to keep him entertained. There is not like a good method to it right now. He just doesn't, he's at an age where he doesn't understand. He doesn't really understand rules yet. And he just thinks that he can do what he wants to, and he gets immediately frustrated and mad when he doesn't. And so it's just kind of a difficult stage. So we try to just tag team and do the best that we can. Some mornings flow better than others. If my husband goes on a walk that morning, sometimes he'll take the toddler with him when we're doing group work, so then it's nice and quiet when we're trying to talk, when I'm trying to talk, because I don't like trying to talk over him. And so that's kind of, you'll see him all over the place throughout, through this video, you've seen him all over the place, just because that's kind of how we try to cope and survive doing homeschool with a toddler, and it's not the easiest thing ever. And the last things that I like to do right before lunchtime is grade the math specifically. Like some of the language arts I've already reviewed or gone over as I've worked with my kids, but I will grade the math of my older 3 kids. And if there are issues, I usually try to address them right away. If we are in a state where we can do that, or if they're still working on other schoolwork, I'll wait, or maybe we'll talk about it the next morning. Just again, depends on the day, but we try to address the issues so that moving forward, they get them correct the next time, or know how to do it better on the next math assignment. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm grading some of their work, and then I'll have them come in and we'll talk about it. And then also on this day, I needed to bind a few things. And so if everyone's content, the toddler's content, the baby's content, and my kids don't need help with their schoolwork, I'm just kind of there supervising, then I'll work on a few little homeschool things that I need to prep. Or if there's a few food things I need to prep, I'll do that because I'm right there. And if they need me, I'm not that far away. And so I was binding some of our church curriculum that we're going to be using for this next month, and then also some history, like mini units from Jessica from the Waldock Way. And so I was prepping a few of those things so that they'll be ready for us to use. All right, so that is a morning in our homeschool. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was maybe helpful for you, gave you a few ideas, or just to, it's sometimes nice just to see how other people do things, and then you can try to switch up what you're doing, or maybe what you're doing is working totally fine and you don't need to change anything. But everybody's way of living, way of homeschooling looks a little bit different, and that's why the playlist down below is so helpful, because you can see that it's not one size fit all. We all function in slightly different ways. We all have slightly different schedules. We all have kids at varying ages and different amounts of kids. And so it requires different adjustments to be made in our homeschool. So maybe something we did was helpful for you, I hope so. But remember to check out that playlist below. And if you enjoy seeing these types of videos, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.